Well, new this morning, a piece of Fort Smith history avoided losing its funding after the board of directors voted to keep this historic landmark.
Yeah, Miss Laura is a former brothel, and now a museum is funded for at least another year. 5 News reporter Jacob Luthi joins us now to explain. Good morning.
Good morning. If you walk into Miss Laura's, you're instantly transported back to the early 1900s. Once a brothel, the Victorian mansion now stands as a historic landmark in Fort Smith. Funding for the museum wasn't guaranteed this year. I spoke with the museum's director about how the community rallied to help keep its doors open and why preserving the building's past still matters today.
Miss Laura's in Fort Smith is one of only 9 former brothels in the U.S. preserved as a museum. Faced possible funding cuts. At a budget hearing in late 2025, acting city administrator Jeff Dingman laid out several ways to cut operating costs. One option, to end its funding.
We were made aware before that meeting that we were going to be cut from the budget. The words spoken were very certain.
At the November meeting, Museum Director Angel Tracy, alongside Fort Smith Convention and Visitors Bureau Director Ashley Backert, voiced strong support for the museum and its historic value, warning the city could face significant financial consequences if funding is cut, including the cost of deassessing the museum's artifacts.
The deaccessioning cost for the museum is to the tune of $520,000.
Several board members, along with Mayor George McGill, expressed support for the museum. In a statement to 5 News, City Director Andre Good said in part, quote, "I've watched for years as Fort Smith sought to brand ourselves. Miss Laura's is part of that frontier." In December, the board ultimately approved the 2026 budget, included just over $230,000 for Miss Laura's, but with the expectation that the museum would work towards becoming a nonprofit.
They're able to just donate the building, the property, the contents, all the things, just get it all over to the nonprofit so they don't have to worry about it anymore. And it can be preserved in a way that it needs to be preserved.
Tracy says last year the museum made big strides towards self-sufficiency, opening a gift shop, charging admission for the first time, and hosting community events. She adds that it's the community that has kept Miss Laura's alive and will ensure its future.
Not physically possible to separate it from our Fort Smith city government history. It's a part of their history. It's important to continue to give women voices. This is one of those places where, women struggled not being underneath the city. Whenever that should happen, it's important for us to continue to have their support.
So they got the funding, but the museum says still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, she mentioned there, right? They still need the community support. They still need people to come out, visit the museum, right? Pay that admission cost so that they can keep running and still, like I said, work towards becoming self-sustaining. She also says that they're going to work to get some new signage around the building. They also need to fix the exterior. They also need to fix the parking lot. She says that's all money, though, that needs to be approved by the board of directors. That's not something that they can just use with the money that they got there. So again, still working towards making updates to the building. Again, working on everything that they accomplished last year, bringing that all into this year.
All right. Thank you for that update, Jacob.